The story begins with a teenage girl named Clara who looks withdrawn and chooses to isolate herself from the world around her. Seeking a moment of calm, she goes up to the roof of her house and quietly smokes, hiding it from her mother, who strictly forbids her from doing so. Clara lives with her mother, Lawrence, a woman who runs a small laundry business while also managing a modest motel. On that same day, a man named Danny arrives at the motel. Clara briefly crosses paths with him as he comes to meet Lawrence. Danny had already booked a room and shows up to pay the first month's deposit. Lawrence accepts the payment with gratitude and even offers him extra work if he needs additional income. Danny is soon revealed to be a former inmate who has just been released on parole. He is required to wear an electronic ankle monitor that tracks his movements remotely. Every day from 7 in the evening until 8 in the morning, he must stay close to a rotor connected to the device. It functions like a modern form of confinement. Any violation would send him straight back to prison. Danny is also warned that if he takes on a new job, he must report it so the monitoring schedule can be adjusted. Later that evening, Clara has dinner with Lawrence and brings up Danny, curious about the man who just got out of prison. She wonders if Danny might know her father, but Lawrence doubts it. Clara clearly misses her father, who has been behind bars for years. Whenever Clara asks to visit him, Lawrence refuses and instead encourages her to write letters. She reassures Clara not to worry too much and insists that her father will be released soon. As unanswered questions linger and quiet tensions settle over the motel, this is a bluebird in my heart. After dinner, Clara steps outside to meet a male friend who is waiting for her. They chat casually for a while, and Clara teasingly asks him for tobacco, playfully offering a kiss in return, though she clearly does not mean it seriously. From a motel window, Danny notices the interaction between the two teenagers. For reasons he cannot quite explain, the sight unsettles him, stirring emotions he struggles to control. The next day, Clara approaches Danny and asks for a cigarette, but he refuses, seeing her as nothing more than a child. Not long after, Lawrence asks Danny to fix a leak in one of the motel rooms. As payment, she offers to deduct the equivalent of 1 month's rent. They go shopping together to buy the necessary materials so Danny can start the repairs right away. When his break arrives, Danny plans to go out for lunch. At the same time, Clara approaches him again, clearly drawn to him and trying to get closer. Although Danny does not like children, Clara manages to soften him. She says she is hungry and asks him to take her to lunch since her mother's not around. Moved by her situation, Danny eventually agrees, and they eat together at a nearby restaurant. During the meal, Clara reveals that she already knows about Danny's past as a former prisoner. She also shares that her father is still in prison and that her mother forbids her from visiting him. Danny explains that many inmates refuse visits from their families for various reasons and asks Clara to try to understand. Clara keeps asking questions, overwhelming him. To distract her, Danny performs a simple magic trick. Instead of calming down, Clara becomes even bolder, carelessly gulping down his drink while Danny is distracted talking to the cashier. After lunch, they return to the motel, and Danny gets back to work fixing the leaking room. Not long after, Lawrence approaches him and brings up the fact that he had lunch with Clara. Danny quickly senses her unease, realizing she is worried he might be developing feelings for her daughter. He immediately makes it clear that he has no interest in children and is only attracted to women his own age. The explanation eases Lawrence's concerns somewhat. Even so, she insists on paying him back, not wanting to owe him anything. Danny refuses the money, and in the end, they agree to have dinner together instead. Over dinner, the conversation turns to Clara's father. Lawrence admits that she has avoided letting Clara see him because she fears her daughter would be deeply disappointed by the truth. She reveals that Clara's father had an affair with a younger woman he met while in prison, which ultimately led to their divorce. Lawrence asks Danny to keep this information from Clara for now, saying that her father will be released soon and promising to explain everything to Clara when the time is right. The following day, Danny takes on a side job as a dishwasher at a restaurant while continuing the room renovations at Lawrence's motel. He approaches the work with full dedication, cleaning the entire area and even fixing a broken machine along the way. After his shift, one of his co-workers, Nadia, pulls him aside to talk. She clearly starts showing interest in him. At that exact moment, Danny remembers the electronic ankle monitor on his leg, which requires him to be back in his motel room every night from 7 in the evening until 8 in the morning. Panic sets in and he rushes back to the motel. Danny soon realizes he forgot to notify the authorities about his new job and request an adjustment to the monitor's schedule. Because of this oversight, he receives a stern phone warning. The police make it clear that if it happens again, he will be sent straight back to prison without any tolerance. That night, as Danny steps out of his room, he overhears Clara on the phone. From what he can gather, she is speaking with her mother, Clara is told that her father will not be coming back, as the divorce is now final. She is devastated as she learns about her father's affair and his decision to leave them behind to start a new life with another woman. Hearing Clara cry, Danny feels a surge of sympathy but chooses not to interfere. Knowing it is not his place, Clara, clearly shaken and desperate for comfort, wanders toward Danny's room. When she sees him busy fixing the leak, she hesitates and peeks into his room from outside. At that same moment, her friend Jonathan arrives and invites her into his car. Without much thought, Clara accepts the offer and goes with him. Inside the car, Jonathan pressures Clara to inhale a certain substance. Not long after, the situation spirals out of control as he begins to assault her. Clara tries to scream and fight back, but Jonathan covers her mouth and corners her. Even so, Clara refuses to give up and eventually manages to escape from the car. She runs for her life with Jonathan chasing after her. Her screams are soon heard by Danny, who rushes outside and sees Clara being pursued by a man. Danny tries to go after him, but he freezes when Jonathan pulls out a gun, leaving Danny powerless to intervene. After the incident, Danny quickly brings Clara back to the motel.
Casse-toi!
He helps clean her body, which is dirty and covered in signs of violence. Still shaken and traumatized, Clara allows Danny to help her and asks him to promise not to tell her mother about what happened. As she slowly calms down, Danny lets her smoke for a moment and asks about the man who attacked her. Clara refuses to explain anything and instead opens up about her father, who chose to abandon her for his younger girlfriend. The next day, Danny returns to work as usual and feels a small sense of relief after successfully fixing the broken dishwasher. When he gets back to the motel, Lawrence approaches him and asks about Clara. She has noticed bruises all over her daughter's body and senses that something is wrong. Danny claims he knows nothing about how the injuries happened, but unease begins to weigh heavily on him. The following day, Danny tries to focus on his job, but the events of that night continue to haunt him. While collecting dirty dishes at the restaurant, he suddenly sees Jonathan, the man who hurt Clara. His heart starts racing as anger surges through him. When Jonathan leaves the restaurant and gets into his car, Danny immediately confronts him and launches a brutal attack, leaving Jonathan unconscious. Danny then drives the car away from the parking lot, heading toward a deserted area in a rush. His actions are impulsive, fueled by rage he can no longer control. Even though Clara is not his daughter, he cares deeply about her and cannot stand by after knowing what Jonathan did to her. Danny takes Jonathan's gun and discovers a package of illegal drugs, revealing that Jonathan is a drug dealer. In an attempt to erase all traces, Danny sets the car on fire with Jonathan still unconscious inside. Unbeknownst to him, a man watches the entire incident from a distance. Danny later returns to the restaurant and is harshly scolded by Nadia for disappearing during work hours. Despite her frustration, Nadia still shows concern by giving Danny some food for lunch. Still shaken by his reckless actions, Danny hides Jonathan's gun inside a sink. That night, Lawrence confronts Danny about the death of a man who was found burned inside his car. A police officer had just visited the motel and grew suspicious of Danny because of his past as a former inmate. Unexpectedly, Danny admits everything to Lawrence. He explains that he lost control after encountering the man who had hurt Clara, and he lays out exactly what happened, even though Clara had asked him to keep it secret from her mother. Lawrence is stunned as she finally realizes what her daughter has been through. Anger quickly follows, and she blames Danny for not telling her sooner or reporting the incident to the police. Overwhelmed by emotion, she lashes out and orders Danny to leave. Danny tries to calm her down and apologizes for making the situation even worse. Despite trying to carry on with his life afterward, he cannot escape the heavy burden of the killing he committed. The next day, Clara shows up at Danny's workplace. She is anxious about her health and asks for his help to take an HIV test using a kit she bought herself. After the blood sample is taken, Clara waits nervously for the result. When it finally comes back negative, relief washes over her, and Danny holds her to help her calm down. In the days that follow, Danny is seen having lunch with Nadia at the restaurant, and their relationship appears to be growing closer. At the same time, he continues to support Clara and Lawrence, knowing they are going through a difficult period after so many painful events in such a short time. Soon after, the man who witnessed Danny burning the car tracks him down along with two others. They demand that Danny return the drugs that were inside the burned vehicle. Danny tells them the drugs were destroyed along with the car. The men attack him, but Danny manages to fight back and force them to flee.
I'm just a dishwasher around here. Get out of here.
After finishing work that day, Danny realizes the danger is far from over. He loads the gun with ammunition and moves it to a new hiding place. That night, Clara comes to him to pour out her feelings. Danny does his best to offer emotional support, knowing she is still deeply shaken. In the middle of their moment, Danny senses something is wrong and urges Clara to go back inside the motel. Moments later, two masked men suddenly appear with weapons and open fire in their direction. Danny tells Clara to hide while he draws the attackers away, retrieves his gun, and manages to take one of them down. The fight continues at close range until Danny gains the upper hand. Just as he is about to kill his opponent, Clara rushes in and stops him.
No! No!
Afterward, Danny runs off and decides to leave the motel for good. He destroys the electronic ankle monitor on his leg to avoid being tracked by the police. While on the run, he crosses paths with Lawrence, who tells him to get into her car. She chooses to help him escape because she believes Danny is not a bad person, even if his actions were wrong. Lawrence does not want Danny to return to prison, knowing that everything spiraled out of control because he was trying to protect her daughter. They travel together to a remote location, where they eventually part ways. The film ends with Clara finally meeting her father, who has since remarried. In that moment, Clara learns to accept reality and face the changes she cannot avoid in her life. She comes to understand her father's choices and realizes that he still loves her deeply, even though they can no longer live together as a family. So the moral of the story is that if you mix teenage curiosity, parole ankle monitors, secret smoking, bad friends, and unprocessed trauma, someone will definitely set a car on fire instead of going to therapy.